Hello and welcome back to another episode of Math with Stone. Today we are going to be solving exponential equations with exponents on both sides. Let's get into it. So for my first example here, we have a 3 to the x plus 7 equals a 3 to the 4x minus 8. Now this is the best case scenario because they're both a 3. And if they are both a 3, that means quite literally that they cancel out, quote unquote. They technically don't cancel out, but they don't really matter anymore. And the x plus 7 is flat out going to equal 4x minus 8. And then you just solve that equation for x. You would probably subtract 7 and get x equals 4x minus 15. Subtract 4x from both sides. And you're just solving a normal equation at this point. And then when you divide by -3, you get your answer. Now, typically your answer is going to be a fraction. In this case, I just got 5. Okay, so that's the easiest case scenario, is when those both are a 3. Now, if they're not both a 3, if they're both a different number, for instance, if they are both, let's say we have 4 to the x plus 8 equals 16 to the 2x minus 4. And I'm going to change that to a 4 to the 3x plus 8. So let's say it's like that. In that case, what you are trying to do is make them both the same number. And you do that by taking the bigger number and turning it into the smaller number most of the time. For instance, I can turn this 16 into a 4 because 16 is really 4 squared. And because it's 4 squared, I can turn it into that. And when I turn it into that, I create a scenario where they are now magically both a 4. Which is great because that is the end goal. We need it to be both a 4. So you need to distribute that exponent, 2 to both of those guys. And we end up with 4 to the 3x plus 8 equals 4 to the 4x minus 4. And because they are both a 4, they cancel out, or at least don't matter, because they're both 4. We just have those exponents drop down. 3x plus 8 equals 4x minus 4. And then we start solving that equation. Subtract 3x, get the x's on one side. I could have also subtracted the 4x. It doesn't matter as long as your goal is to get the x's on one side and the numbers on the other side. It'll work out. Add 4. And for the second time in a row, we're getting kind of lucky here. And the fact that x is not a fraction. X is typically going to be a fraction with these problems. It's just the nature of the beast. And if it was a whole number, then you can kind of get lucky by just plugging in things until it worked out. All right? So that's when you only had to manipulate one side. Like the 16 immediately dropped down and became a 4 squared. The next problem we're going to have, it's not going to be just a one-sided event. It's going to be both of the numbers have to turn into something. So let's say that I had 25. X minus 3 equals 125. 3x minus 4. Okay? If it's like this, then what we need to do is recognize what number can I make both of them using exponents. And that number should come kind of intuitively. There's no like happy answer to it. And it should feel pretty obvious, I'm hoping, that you could turn both of these into a 5, because you should be thinking about what can I raise something to a power to and make 25. And 5, I can raise to the second power, and I make it 25. I haven't changed anything here. 5 squared is still 25. X minus 3 equals 5 to the third power, 3x minus 4. Distribute your 2 and distribute that 3. We end up with 5 to the 2x minus 6 equals 5 to the 9x minus 12. Make sure you distribute it to both terms. From here, 5s are going to go away. Goodbye 5. You're gone. You're out of here. 5s don't matter. 9x minus 12. Move the x's however you'd like. I like to keep a positive x if possible. So I'm going to subtract the 2x. Those are gone. I got negative 6 equals 7x minus 12. Continue my solving process. Add 12. And finally, as promised, we're going to have a fraction. Negative 6 plus 12 is 6. And I divide by 7. When you get this fraction, keep it as a fraction. Do not write the decimal. Decimals are for people that have calculators, and these problems are designed to be solved without a calculator. So if you're getting the decimal answer, don't write the fraction. All right, the next problem is going to be dealing with something that looks really intimidating because it's going to start out as a fraction, but it's actually not that bad. So let's say that I got, let's say I have 1 over 36 to the 2x minus 4 equals 6 to the x plus 1. So you still need to be thinking about the numbers. Don't be intimidated by the fact that it's 1 over 36. If you see that 1 over 36, just pretend it's not a fraction. Just pretend it's 36. If it's just a 36, you're like, well, I can turn 36 into something. Again, always look at the bigger number. Can you turn 36 into a 6 in some way? Yeah. And that would be a 6 squared. 6 squared is 36. Because it's 1 out of 36, it is going to be to the negative power. That's the only thing that changes. If it's 36 with a 1 on top, make it a negative 2, not a regular 2. That's the only thing that would change with this problem. Now, I didn't have to change the right side of the equal sign this time because I could turn the 36 into a 6. Distribute the negative 2. 6 to the negative 4x plus 8, negative times negative makes positive 8, equals 6 to the x plus 7. They are both a 6. Say goodbye to the 6's. Negative 4x plus 8 equals x plus 7. Move it around however you'd like. I'm going to choose to add 4x because I like my x's to be positive. 8 equals 5x plus 7. Subtract 7 from both sides. And we're going to get 1 equals 5x. If 1 is equal to 5x, then you can divide by 5, and you get x is equal to 1/5. Ta-da! All right, so the next problem I'm going to show you is not something that happens very often, and it happens in some upper level Algebra 2 classes. It definitely happens in Math for College Algebra and for College Algebra. So if you aren't in those classes, don't bother for the next one. But if you are in those classes, you may see a problem that actually has multiple things going on. And by what I mean by that is, let's say that we have 4 to the 2x minus 7 times 8, 3x minus 4 equals, let's say, 16 to the x minus 1. You got 3 things going on here. Now, none of them are fractions. I can make a fraction if we wanted to, but I haven't yet. And you may be thinking, first off, that the number that you would make all of these is a 4. Not the case. I can do that with the 4 and the 16. I can't do it with the 4 and the 8. Because 4 squared doesn't make 8. It just doesn't. The number that we're going to make this is actually 2. All of these are going to become a 2. 2 squared is the 4. 2 to what power makes 8? 2 to the third power is 8. So that's where that one comes from. 3x minus 4. Equals 2 to the fourth power is actually 16. And you might want to confirm that with a calculator, even though you shouldn't need one. And now they're all a 2. You distribute your exponent on all 3 of them. Distribute, distribute, distribute. 2 to the 4x minus 14 times 2 to the 9x minus 12. I almost messed up. 12 equals 2 to the 4x minus 4. Because they're all a 2, you may think originally that they're going to cancel out, but you can't cancel them in their current predicament. Okay? What you have to deal with first is getting these 2 guys together. And I'm going to do a little side problem for you right now. So let's say that I had x squared times x to the 3rd. I am hoping that you know that that is not x to the 6th, but x to the 5th. You add your exponents. So we're adding these exponents here. Because they're both a 2, like both of these were an x, I'm going to be able to add these 2 guys together. I'm going to combine those 2 things, leaving me with 2 to the 13x, 4 and 9 make 13, minus 26, negative 14, negative 12, negative 26, equals 2 to the 4x minus 4. Now that they are both a 2 and you have 1 for 1, 1, 2 on the left side, 1, 2 on the right side, they cancel out. Goodbye. 13x minus 26 equals 4x minus 4. It's a normal equation at this point. Solve it. For the first time in a while, I'm going to subtract the 4x to move the x's to the left side because that would make them positive. 13 minus 4 is 9x minus 26 equals negative 4. Add 26, add 26. I'm out of room. 9x equals 22. Divide by 9. Your official answer, 22 over 9. All right? So, that's going to do it for this episode, everybody. Until next time, stay positive, and I will see everybody later. Bye.